Poonam and Miss Arti. Um, we apologize for the technical glitches. We got some situation in the back end of our IT system. But again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We are very happy and honored to have the two of you in our Viewpoint July edition. And this is, I would say this is a very special edition because we are featuring two beautiful ladies and wonderful artists. Both of you are from India, and this is actually our first time this year to host people or speakers outside of the Southeast Asian region, which is really incredible. And we are very happy to create this milestone together. And this is especially very, very special because we are going to talk about cultural diplomacy in Southeast Asia and beyond. And we have Poonam Sagar, who is the founder of Indo-Indians community. And she will be sharing a lot about her wonderful and honorable organization and communities and what she has done in the past, and how it contributes to the strengthening of the relationship between the Indonesian and Indian communities in Indonesia and beyond. And also we have a very wonderful artist, Arti Gidwani. Miss Arti, thank you for joining us. And I've seen some of your beautiful, beautiful masterpieces that Ms. Poonam shared earlier. And as an amateur painter myself, I was quite amazed by the many pieces that you did and what you have done with the community. So today we'll be listening to these two wonderful ladies talking about how culture plays very important roles in sort of connecting people in Indonesia and in India, and how it actually build mutual understandings and create shared values and build bridges between the two peoples. So without further ado, I would like to give the time to probably we can start first with Ms. Poonam to kind of give us more information, more stories, and your views on your works in the past few years in Indonesia, especially through the Indo-Indians communities and activities in the past years. And we are so looking forward to listening to your stories. And just so you know, our live stream this afternoon is being viewed on multiple channels and accounts on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And we have people coming from not only Southeast Asian countries, but also beyond. And we hope we have audience as well coming from India. And later on, we'll be having question and answer session after the sharing session. So without further ado, I'd like to give the time to Ms. Poonam Sagar to tell us more about Indo-Indians communities and what she has done in the past few years. Ms.
Recording in progress.
I think you are still muted. My apologies.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you, Pariza. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm very, very pleased to be here on Seasia News. And especially so because with my good friend Arti Gidwani here, who's an artist. And she has been, an inspiration because with all her work that she does in various media, it is really inspiring. And when you hear her story, I'm sure you too will be very inspired.
Yeah.
So I'd like to share a little bit about Indo-Indians. If you allow me to share screen, I can do a very brief presentation, just tell you a little bit about Indo-Indians.
Yes.
And, when you talk about cultural diplomacy, culture is basically made up of 5 elements, as we all know. And it talks about symbols, it talks about artifacts, language, norms, and values and beliefs. And this session, as you very rightly put it, is all about art in the cultural diplomacy, the artifacts that we do. But let's not forget that art is a language in itself. Yes, Aarti, what do you think?
Totally. I totally agree with you. Art has no boundaries. So art talks a language that all of us talk. And it gives you all the emotions and it kind of brings everybody together. So I think it's the one thing that is completely borderless.
So let's talk about diplomacy there where art is concerned. And I think Aarti is the perfect person to do that. So can I share my screen, Pa?
Yes, please, Ms. Poonam.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Perfectly, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So as you very rightly said about building bridges,
Yeah,
we feel and believe that IndoIndians.com is a bridge between India and Indonesia. And it is all about connecting these two countries, these beautiful countries, through through culture, even through economy, and even through people living their shared experiences and stories. We have a website which is IndoIndians.com, which is our main placeholder for all the information that we have. In addition to our website, IndoIndians.com, it's a not-for-profit organization. Our intention is that this is information to connect. There is no membership fee, and everything that we do is funded by our parent organization, PT Infotech Solutions, which is an IT company in Jakarta. So at a glance, we have around 100,000 unique visitors per month. We have 20,000 newsletter subscribers. We have WhatsApp groups. We have a ticketed platform for events. And we've been online for 24 years. And we have a mobile app. And our focus is basically on connecting people and giving back. And we promote art and culture in a big way through art exhibitions. We've also done charity art exhibitions. And we also do a lot of large events. We have WhatsApp groups, so we have different targeted WhatsApp groups, even a cooking group. And this is our events page because we do a lot of events. So we also do online ticketing because it makes everything much easier. Our upcoming event, as Fariza, is the Diwali Bazaar in September on the 15th, which it so happens is we also have art panels there right at the entrance where artists can showcase their artwork. It is a large event with over 150 vendors. We've got a lot of song, dance, classes, sponsors. So it's a big community affair to connect people. And that is what we like to do. And you'll find this theme coming up and again, all about connecting people. And we've done lots of other events. We've done a Holi color run where we had 5,000 people at the event where people ran for 5K and there was a lot of color, song, dance, because Holi is a very specific festival of India. It's all about colors. We had 5,000 people. And this is, some pictures from our color run. We've done a lot of bazaars. We keep doing bazaars. And we work with the ASEAN Secretariat to do that as well. So, these are just some glimpses of what we do, what is the Indo-Indians Bazaar. Not only that, we also are very, very focused on women empowerment. And we do an Extraordinary Women's Award every year. This year, too, we did an Extraordinary Women's Award where there are women who were nominated by people in the community, which we awarded and recognized for the work that they do and for the strength that they share with their community around them. We also do little focus events like the one on Gandhi in October the 2nd, Women's Day events. And of course, Bollywood is something that, connects us everywhere. So we also do a lot of Bollywood events. In fact, our next Bollywood event is on the 16th of August, because 16th of August also happens to be Indo-Indians' birthday. So we've got 15th of August, Indian independence, 16th of August, Indo-Indians' birthday, 17th is Indonesian Independence Day. So it's a big celebration.
It is indeed, yeah.
Yeah. So that's all about us. I can stop sharing now because that was a whole lot of download. And I would be open to any other guiding questions or anything else that I can share with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Poonam. That's really beautiful to learn more about what you have done in the past few years. And in the past few years, working on these beautiful, beautiful activities and programs in Indonesia, did you have or face any challenges working with the communities?
So, when you stand up to do work, everything is, you have to stand up. So it is challenging, and it is only through working with people and with their support that you can go and do it. Now, for example, Aarti here has been a big supporter where the art is concerned, and she has always guided me and taken me, forward in terms of what I should be doing and how I can take that. Because as one person, I don't know everything. I can only reach out to other domain experts who can help me to take this whole thing forward.
Interesting, yeah. And how did you find working with people or communities in Indonesia, like in the past few years, and what made you stay here? Like, is it the people, the food, or the love of the people from Indonesia that they showed during your activities and programs? We are all curious about that.
All of the above.
All of
The
the
people
above.
in Indonesia are fabulous. They are so friendly. They are always smiling. They're ready to help. And I think that's a very wonderful quality about Indonesia. And the food is amazing. The
So
food is really
you have accustomed to the Indonesian spicy food. I mean, like, well, we have varieties of food, like from the east to the west. Things are quite different. Some food are very, very sweet. Some food are very, very spicy. But, it's quite similar to what India has in terms of food.
absolutely. I'm totally symbolized.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So, well, I mean, while waiting for more questions, let's give the time to Ms. Arti Gidwani, who's been working a lot in in terms of cultural diplomacy and cultural programs and activities in Indonesia, and what you have done in terms of arts and painting itself, because I was very intrigued by the fact that when Ms. Poonam shared some of your digital images, your paintings, and they look very beautiful. And would you share how or what inspired you to get into painting?
Hi. So first, let me tell you, I am a clay sculptor to begin with. I work with clay. Clay is my medium. So painting is an activity which came much later. So
interesting.
I started working with clay in Singapore. So we lived in Singapore for many years.
Yeah.
That was my first home my first home that I set up in Singapore. And that's where I worked. I learned from a studio potter. And I picked up clay sculpting.
Yeah.
So, and Indonesia gave me wings, as I say. Yeah, we moved to Indonesia in 2001. And we moved to Jakarta in 2003.
Yeah.
And, I worked with a couple of local potters, local guys. And then I built my own studio.
Yeah.
And I had a studio for over 20 years in Indonesia.
Wow.
So, and that's where I say I learned my craft on the go, because Indonesia was just such a lovely place to work. There was so much creativity around me that I played, I worked, I exhibited, and I worked with every medium. So,
Yeah.
there was just clay, there was clay with metal, clay with wood, clay as jewelry, clay as handbags, so all kind of medium.
Right.
And then came COVID,
Yeah.
and I was stuck, and that's when I picked up painting.
Interesting.
So paintings is a fairly new medium for me. And like I said, in Indonesia, living in Indonesia has been just an amazing journey. Everybody's been so friendly. The art communities have been so welcoming. And, everybody just brings you in and envelops you in a big hug, and you just settle in. So lots of Indonesian friends. And as Poonam told you,
Yeah.
I'm also equally symbolized. Indonesia is home. There are times to a point that we even think in Bahasa Indonesia. I'm sitting in Delhi right now. And there are times I just tell my helpers here that, something in Indonesia, bikin teh. And they kind of look at my face and say, what? So Indonesia has gone into, I think, all our bloodstreams. So and on a serious note, it's been really nice working there because I've learned so much.
Yeah.
And my exhibitions have been amazing, very well received.
Yeah.
And then whatever else I've done, everybody's been very encouraging and very nice. And then we have this wonderful Indo-Indian portal where Poonam has been a huge backbone and a huge support. So she does, to have that kind of a platform to begin with. So just to tell you, when I moved to Indonesia, there was this group of artists, amateur artists, who used to get together and do exhibitions, very homegrown, lovely exhibitions. So Indo-Indian has been part of a support system for all of us for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Indonesian community for me, the Indonesian galleries, my friends, everything's come together.
That's very good to hear. So when you were saying that you expanded your wings into painting, which one did you find more how to say that, like which one is more easily accepted by the Indonesian communities? Is that the pottery or is that the painting? Or which one is more challenging to communicate with through arts? Is it the pottery or the painting?
Clay is my first love. So it stays my first love. And I think what has happened is it has transported itself into my paintings, because what I do is in sculptures is what I started painting on the canvas. So, what I've been told over and over again is it brings a smile to people's faces. My work is quirky. So, the clay as well as the canvas.
Yeah.
They both have been, they both have been very rewarding.
Yeah. So do you have any spatial memories when you are doing your sort of cultural diplomacy, quote unquote, activities with any or underserved communities in Indonesia? What remains one of the most memorable memory for you working with Indonesian communities?
Actually living over there and meeting artists and meeting even the local craftspeople has been a very humbling experience, because I have memories of my trips to Pleret, which is a beautiful village full of potters, full of wheels. So when you go there and when you see people working on the ground, when you see what they create on a very basic wheel and a very basic tools that they have.
Yeah.
It's very humbling to see the kind of work that is created by people over there. And then, of course, Jogjakarta,
Yeah.
which I still think we can keep going back to over and over again, and meeting people and doing, and it's really wonderful. So artists like Panasirun,
Mhm.
they are so happy to open their homes to us, and he very humbly took us around himself.
Yeah.
Then I remember going into the studio of Pasri Hardy, Sudarsono,
Wow.
with a group of, so there is another group called the Indonesian Heritage Society,
Oh yeah.
which
Yeah.
also I'm a part of.
Mhm.
And with them, we went to visit some studios in Bandung. So we walked into Sri Hardy's studio and his home, and he happily treated us to lunch and let us roam around his studio. And
Yeah.
it was just wonderful being surrounded with paints and canvases in all various
Yeah.
stages of happening. And considering who he is to Indonesia today,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well,
it's
that's
amazing.
very,
And then
yeah.
you have sculptors like Noma Nuarta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, his sculpture park is amazing. So,
Yeah.
you know,
North is really
and
great.
then there is Bali art, and then there's Lombok. I mean, there's just a never-ending places to visit and never-ending artists to meet, whether big or small.
Yeah.
And
And
then Jakarta, of course.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And do you plan to come back and attend the Indo-Indians event in September and exhibit some of your latest pieces?
I am planning. I mean, I'm still between Indonesia and India.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So my home is still Indonesia.
Oh,
And I don't think even if I move to Delhi, I think Indonesia will always remain home.
so
So,
what makes you consider that Indonesia is more a home to you than or Jakarta than Delhi is? I mean, like I was in Delhi probably like 9 years ago, and I love the city. Quite similar to Jakarta in terms of the traffic, the people, the food, and a lot of things. But what do you think? Like, why do you think Indonesia is more a home to you than India is?
because I left Delhi when I was 23,
Mhm.
I left, and I've lived in Southeast Asia mostly.
Yeah.
And for me, Indonesia has been my longest stay. I've stayed there over 23 years now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So, there are times I wonder, I mean, now I'm confused whether I'm Indian or Indonesian.
You are Indo-Indian.
You are
No, I'm
Indo-Indian.
Indo-Indian. That's
Exactly.
true.
Yeah.
I'm Indo-Indian.
Yeah, I think you are sort of the real testament of how we are actually able to build bridges between the Indian and Indonesian communities and cultures and tradition into one person. You are the perfect embodiment of that sort of description. And
And
again,
if I
let's
may, can I ask Aarti? Aarti, would you like to share the photographs of your paintings and artwork you shared earlier? Or maybe I can share because I have them.
Please,
And you can.
Poonam, I'm gadget challenged.
So,
So,
Pariza, I'm going to go through I'm going to share my screen with the artwork, Aarti's artwork, and maybe Aarti, you can give us a little, if it is okay with you, Pariza, for her to share a little bit about her artwork.
Sure, yeah, yeah. We'll be very happy to share that with our audience this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. So, can you see my screen, Pa?
Yeah, it's beautiful art.
So, Aarti, you have to tell us about your art.
So, we were just talking about cultural diplomacy. Well, I don't know what I would call it, but this canvas happened as my last trip to Jakarta a few months ago, I had friends from all communities. There was some diplomatic community, there were some Indonesians, it was a mixture of all different people from all over the world. So I
Yeah.
put out a blank canvas on the chair with a pen, a marker pen, and I said, you know what? Feel free to put whatever line, whatever drawing, I mean, whatever you wish to do.
Oh, wow.
Just put on it. So this is a work of 14 people who were there that morning in my house.
Wow.
And if you really examine it carefully, it's got a bit of Brazil, it's got a bit of, Turkey, it's got a bit of Spain, it's got a bit of everywhere. It's got a lot of Indonesia. If you see the food stuff, it's got a bit of Indonesia as well. So everybody who was over that day,
I noticed different brushes and
yes, so put something on this canvas, including me. If you notice on the right side corner are my happy little men marching along.
But yeah.
So, and then I just spray painted it, and the only thing I thought of was how to share it. So I turned it into little coasters and I sent it to everybody as a memory of that morning.
That's lovely.
Okay, this is home in Singapore. This is spray painting, freehand work on a door. So
I would love to have a door like that.
I can see
it's still not complete. It needs to have a little fish that this bird is looking at.
Yeah.
So my next time to Singapore, I'll finish it.
Super.
Okay, this is one of my mixed media, clay and metal work.
Yeah.
Turned it into a chandelier. So as you can see, these are my men again.
Yeah.
I love creating them in all kind of shapes and poses, and like one of my German friends named them the yoga men. So we said, okay, we'll call them the yoga men.
The yoga man chandelier.
So, okay, this was a bit of a serious sculpture that I did many years ago. If you remember, there were a lot of Sumatran fires and there was a lot of tree logging going on those days.
Yeah.
So this was a statement on that, simply stating, the burnt logs with faces. If you look close by, they all have faces, which literally just state that, we have life too. Don't kill us. Don't cut us.
Interesting message. Yeah.
This is, of course, again, freehand sketching.
Yeah.
Bunch of people.
They depict Indonesian or Indian men or
something, if you really look at it again, I think the features have now kind of blended.
Yeah.
As I was looking at, when I was doing a little bit of reading on the Indonesian Indian ties together.
Yeah.
There are a lot of articles which talk about the fact that a lot of artists who have taken work inspiration from the epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata and Indian folklore, and you can see that the influences now, everything is adapted to the local community. So the features become local. And I think in my state, between India and Indonesia, they look anything. Choose what you want them to look like.
Yeah, they're like a mix of both.
Okay, this is pretty. This is a piece I created. It's a Singapore skyline in the background.
Yeah.
And this is a piece I did with paper mache and painting. It's on an inverted rattan basket from Jakarta.
Oh, wow.
And bamboo basket.
Yeah.
And I think this piece is both feminine and masculine. So it embodies all, I think, all emotions and all this thing. So it's my moon.
Yeah.
So that's Aarti.
This is a graffiti.
Painting on her wall.
This is a graffiti on like, I think a 7 feet, 8 feet long wall,
Wow.
which I was spraying.
Is that at your house here or?
No, it's at somebody's house in Singapore.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
This is in Jakarta.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you really look at him closely, he could be Chinese, he could be ethnic
Indian.
Indonesian, it could be Indian.
Yeah,
He is a wise old man.
that is very interesting. Yeah. So, wow.
And this is, I just want to show one more. This is, I visited Aarti's last exhibition in Jakarta, where she had, so many artworks, and each one with very deep meaning. Like this one, she made with clay on canvas, and she shaped it with the little men that she always talks about. Maybe Aarti can explain better.
The background of this was my last exhibition, which was called Hope is Not Lost, which was basically talking about that in COVID, this is COVID art. So we should keep our hopes. I mean, this too will end and there is a light. But this particular piece came up when we all went into a lockdown and a lot of people couldn't go home.
Yeah.
So the yellow that you see is actually my massage towel, which I cemented and turned it into a makeshift shelter for this worker who couldn't go home. So he's sitting with his ladder under it, taking shelter.
Yeah.
So if you really, I mean, it's a cemented tower as a house, as a shelter for him.
So the dimension of this art must be really big because
it's big.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Well, it's my massage towel, right? It has to be big.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But like it looks quite small on the picture, but I imagine a towel, it should be really big and it looks really beautiful. I mean, like with all the messages and values behind it. And so Arti, like I was wondering but like Indonesia, Singapore, and India, which one do you think your arts can grow better in the future? Like, or are you at the moment eyeing another country to reside to, or like what's your plan for the future?
Well, at the moment, like I said, I mean, I am halfway house in India. There are some family commitments which need me in Delhi for the time being. So I've never actually stepped into the art scene in Delhi. So I'm very gingerly, very, in a small way, trying to step into Delhi and trying to build a studio here now and seeing if I can start some work in Delhi, the months that I am in Delhi.
Yeah.
So, and the Delhi, I mean, the India art fairs are huge.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
Delhi also has a very thriving art world.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I am looking at, trying to put my little foot into the Indian art scene now.
Yeah. So you're trying to create your own household name I mean, like in India as your home
Well, I've
country.
been away from India for 40 years.
Yeah.
Most of my life I've been away from India. I
Yeah.
studied here, I got educated here, I lived here, and then I left. So now it's time to come back and see what this world holds for me now.
Yeah. So are you trying to sort of organize this artist homecoming exhibition or things like that, and then showcasing all of your artworks that you have been producing and creating in the past 2 decades plus?
First I'm trying to create a studio here, which should happen soon. And I'm trying to create a community. I mean, my vision is in that studio, I'm also creating a space, like a little gallery space.
Yeah.
Where I'm trying to create a community vision where every one of us can come and display and talk about their art, whatever medium of art it is. It'll be lovely to have some Indonesian artists come to Delhi and do some work.
Yeah.
and display their work.
Yeah, because
It'll be
most
lovely
of
to
their
have some
contacts.
Singaporeans, I mean, anybody. But,
Right.
you know, our arts are so beautifully melded together.
Yeah,
There's a lot of commonality between our works.
exactly. Yeah.
And especially going back to our old roots. So it'll be, like you said yourself, that, you know, Indonesia is very similar to India. You were here in Delhi and you found it very similar.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
just find there's a lot more smiles in Jakarta. So
Yeah.
it'll be lovely to have a little community place in Delhi, which I am hoping would create interest for a lot of artists and for people to come and learn about their art.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quite sure how big the Indonesian communities is in New Delhi or in India at the moment, but do you plan, I mean, like when you are trying to establish your name, you know, a household name back home in India, are you also trying to create what we already have in here, like the Indo-Indian community in India?
I think that I will leave it to Poonam to do. I will leave that for Poonam to do. I will just concentrate on art. But you know what? There was like, when you here, you also have a diplomatic community which
Yeah.
works with an organization here called DCW, the Delhi Commonwealth Ladies. It was really lovely to go to one of their bazaars and walk
Yeah.
into the Indonesia booth. And I remember I walked in and I said, "Apa kabar, Bu?" And she kind of looked at my face and said, "Where is this coming from?" And then we got talking, and then it
Yeah.
was really lovely. We found common friends. One of the ladies working here with the embassies, I know her aunt very well in Jakarta.
Oh, wow.
So you know, I'm sure the Indonesian embassy would be really happy to,
To
you know,
have,
kind of pitch in to see and visiting artists.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Indonesian art is beautiful. And you know, the thing which intrigues me about them is their depiction of the Indian epics is very different because they've localized, adapted, modified to their own culture.
Yeah, like the
So
stories of Mahabharata and
yeah,
Ramayana.
so when I hear Rama Shinta, they're
Yeah,
very different from the Ram Sita here.
yeah,
When I hear about everything, so you know, and similarly with arts, it'll be lovely to see, like in front of my house here in Delhi, I have a huge Hanuman, which I bought from Jogja.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So
he's
you brought
huge.
it all the way from here.
Yes, I brought it all the way from Jogja, and
Wow.
he sits proudly in front of my house here. It's a local artist from Jogja, but
Yeah,
he's a Hanuman.
yeah,
So, but his features are very Javanese.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's very different in looks from the Indian Hanuman. So
Exactly,
every
yeah.
time I have somebody coming in, they look at it and say, "Oh wow, Hanuman, but he looks different, right?"
Yeah. I mean, like,
So
that's quite interesting. Artie, this is probably a special request. Would you mind to give us like a very quick house tour and then show us, you know, how the Hanuman looks like? That is that the one that you brought all the way from Yogyakarta, so our audience can see how it actually looks like. I mean,
okay,
if you don't mind, it will be really, really interesting to see, and then you can probably explain the differences between our interpretation of Hanuman and then what you have back home in India.
let me just take you to, let me turn my camera
Sure, yeah.
and let me take you. You will see a lot of Indonesian remnants here.
Yeah.
So I am taking you outside my door.
Yes.
And here is my magnificent Hanuman.
Oh, wow. Is that the one that you bought in Jogja?
Yes.
Wow.
So if you look at him closely,
Yeah.
you yourself will make out he's very different from the, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so Japanese. I mean, it's so
His
Jogja. I mean, like the
his
style.
clothes,
Yeah.
his ornaments, his face,
Yeah,
his the way his crown is, his hair. I mean, everything.
exactly. Yeah.
And
Wow.
I have put in his hand the Indian thing, what we call, for evil eye. It's chilies and lemon.
Oh, wow. And what's it made from? Like
It's clay.
clay.
It's
Wow.
clay. I know. I had a heart attack when it opened. I was hoping he would survive.
I can understand that. Yeah. I mean, like it must be a very heartbreaking moment if you see that, oh, it's breaking up when you get
And
that
look,
cargo.
so here, let me just show you before I go in. This was
Yeah.
my last exhibition's door, which
Yeah.
tells you hope is not cancer.
When did you make that? I mean, which year?
Jakarta, this was my last exhibition.
Mm-hmm.
Accompanying it with this ceramic ladder,
Yeah.
told you hope is not cancelled.
It's very interesting to see, I mean, a glance of your house. It
And
feels
look,
like a
you
museum.
recognize this.
The
Beautiful.
gamelan.
The
Yeah.
gamelan. You'll recognize the gamelan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
then there are wayans.
Yeah.
And then this is my other sculpture, an ode to Indonesia. It's a wayang.
Wow. It's
He
also made of
moves.
clay.
It's made of clay. He moves.
Oh, wow. Interesting. That's a beautiful art piece.
So that's one.
Yeah.
And then there are pieces like this is a
Wow.
piece here, and these are all various. And I think I will just show you my big man.
Oh, wow. And you made it in Indonesia too?
Yes, he was built in my Kamang house in Jakarta, and it was welded by the local welders on the streets of Kamang. So, again,
Wow.
when you are talking about, you know, coming together, it
Yeah.
was a very interesting story of a local welder. You've seen those local people who do welding of doors and all.
Yeah.
Now he came to my house, and he
Yeah.
just got into the fun of he got into the fun of putting together the framework for this guy.
Yeah. That's a beautiful, beautiful masterpiece, Arti. I mean, like, I love the color combination and then the structure of that man as well.
And that's a piece done in Singapore.
That is also unique.
And then, of course, you have this.
Wow,
Chandelier.
the chandelier. Wow, that's beautiful.
That's terracotta.
Beautiful. I mean,
So
like your house is a testament of your collective artworks in the past 2+ decades, if not more. And thank you so much for taking us on a house tour of yours. That's your house looks like a museum to me, like arts gallery, and it's really beautiful, really, really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Poonam, as I'm going back to what Arti has mentioned earlier, did you have any intention to open up a branch of Indo-Indians in India, like, to create these sort of communities of Indian and Indonesian diaspora?
Well, it has always been at the back of my mind, not to create it in India, but to create it in Singapore and call it Sing Indians, or in Malaysia and call it Malay Indians.
Right.
But before I even get there, I am still in the process of starting up little offshoots for Bali, or for Jogja, or for Surabaya, where there is a large Indian population.
Right.
So
Yeah.
now we have so at this moment, it's through little pages within the website where there are people from Surabaya or Bali, where their local news is posted. We are also included in our large WhatsApp group people from all over Indonesia. So if you're looking for somebody who lives in Jepara, Indian in Jepara, you just have to ask and somebody will respond to you. If you're looking for an Indian who lives in Balikpapan, somebody will respond to you. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
yeah, there are so many things to be done for the future. And before we continue on our discussion, I'd like to say hi to our audience from Southeast Asia and beyond, and probably some of your friends and relatives in India. If you have any questions for both Poonam and Aarti on the cultural diplomacy issues or activities and programs that they had done in the past or they have been doing at the moment, please write your questions on the comment box, and then I will read your questions for either Poonam or Aarti. And if you have any comments or whatever that you are going to ask, just write it down on the comment section, and I will ask that question for you. All right. So Poonam and Aarti, we have a few more minutes before we close this beautiful discussion, and especially the house tour. That was very special. And I wouldn't say that was a house tour, that was a museum tour. That's a arts gallery tour. It's a beautiful house, Aarti, that you've got back home in India. And I'd love to visit that arts gallery in New Delhi very soon. Hopefully, if you're not coming back here, if you're still there, then I would love to visit that.
Please do.
Yeah. And then having this kind of live house tour for our audience on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, they will be very happy to see more of your artworks, your beautiful chandeliers and crafts and potteries. So another question for either Aarti or Poonam, if you could answer, like what was your probably one of the most challenging moment working with the Indonesian communities, like trying to sort of get your messages across behind your arts or behind your events? Like, of course, all of us would like to build bridges to strengthen the shared values and build more understandings between the people of Indonesia and India. Did you have any challenges or like memories that you think it will be a lessons learned that you will, that you will take
Aarti,
away?
can I answer first?
Please do.
Yeah. So, Pariza,
Yeah.
I find in my many years living in Indonesia that there is a very common shared value system between India and Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
There is also, the family values, they're very similar. As you mentioned, food is similar. There is a long historical significance of similarity between India and Indonesia.
Yeah.
However, when I first came to Indonesia,
Mm-hmm.
everybody is very polite and helpful. However, language was a big issue when I first came.
Yeah.
And although they try to communicate with me in English, and
Yeah.
I try to communicate with them in whatever English or little bit of Bahasa I know, I
Yeah.
think my viewpoint when we come to Indonesia, we should all make an effort to learn Bahasa Indonesia. If we know a certain degree of Bahasa Indonesia, it makes our life a much richer experiential journey in Indonesia. The
Yeah.
more Bahasa we know, the better it is for us. So I think for me, the challenge was to, step ahead and learn a new language when I am in Indonesia.
And did you, or for now, like after a few years of living in Indonesia, how is your Indonesian language at the moment? Did you take any
Lumayan,
Indonesian
lumayan,
language
lumayan.
course? Did you join any Indonesian language course, or you learned from your friends, or you learn it from your daily life?
Yes, from daily life, from working, from my colleagues, from my friends. And and the best part was that when I first came to Indonesia, all the TV had subtitles,
Right. Yeah. So you learn
and
from
that really helped. That really,
yeah.
really helped. So you are listening in English and reading in, or listening in Bahasa, reading in English, or the other way around. And so it
Yeah.
was very.
Interesting. Interesting. What about you, Arti? Like, what was your biggest challenge when you are working with the Indonesian communities to trying to send your messages across through your arts, which are, I think, very beautiful.
Let me just tell you that honestly, there's been really no challenge where my work is concerned. It's been wonderful. But since Poonam was telling you about her learning the language, I'll tell you a very funny anecdote. We moved to Surabaya from Singapore. And Surabaya in 2001, everything was just getting normalized. So the thing is, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the language. So I got myself a teacher. And that's where I learned, again, another cultural bridge. That's where I learned how important Bollywood is, because the teacher didn't want to teach me. He just wanted to learn Bollywood songs from me. It was so funny too. He would come to me, and instead of giving me a lesson, he would tell me, Shah Rukh Khan, oh, you know this language? Do you know this song? So finally, I think I gave up. And my helpers in Surabaya, I literally learned my Bahasa with literally saying what is, I learned word by word.
Right.
So it was, but then again, it's a language which is not difficult, I would say. So as Poonam says, learn it. Everybody learn it, because it's not, it just makes your life easier and happier. So I learned it, and I'm still learning, but I think my Bahasa is pretty good. It's okay. I manage.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I mean, like, since you mentioned about Surabaya, just so you know, I'm actually from Surabaya as well. Like, how long did you in Surabaya, the city center?
Really?
Yeah, I just moved to Jakarta like, well, 20 years ago after my high school. So like, how long did you live there? Like, how
Two
and
and a
how?
half.
Oh
We lived
wow.
in 2.5 years in I think a place called Regency Park. It was very close to Graha family.
Yeah,
Literally, it was Graha family, very close to. So beautiful 2.5 year memories of Surabaya. There
and
is
then
a
you moved to
sizable Indian
Jakarta.
community there.
Yeah.
So I got involved, and I used to help doing their newsletters, because again, you talk of challenge. The challenge over there was I couldn't find clay. I couldn't find clay. I couldn't find a studio. So for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
I devoted myself to, well, my children were small, so raising my kids, helping out in the school, helping out the community, raising funds for, charity, for community events, and help and doing this internet. We had a little international community called IVAS. So I did the newsletter for them for a bit.
Yeah.
I used to, print out publish the. Considering I'm gadget challenged, I did the newsletter.
Yeah. So was that the reason that you moved to Jakarta, because it was difficult to find place for you in Surabaya?
We moved to Clay because my husband's work took him to Jakarta, and the children were growing up. JIS is a much bigger school.
Yeah.
So Jakarta, anyway, we knew Surabaya was a short-term place to be in, but we enjoyed it. We loved our trip, our trips to Malang and Tretes, and I golfed. Surabaya is a golfing haven. I golfed.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was
A
lovely to
lot of
golf
golf
there.
courses. Yeah. So you're more Indonesian than probably most Indonesians in the audience this afternoon, because you've been living in Surabaya and then you've been living in Jakarta as well, and you have connected with a lot of Indonesian artists in the past 20 plus years, and doing your artworks and what is your influential artist, Indonesian artist that probably inspired your artworks in the past few
Well,
years?
the artist I love is Afandi, of course. Afandi's work is amazing. And
Yeah.
right now, right here in my home, I have a Popo Skandar.
Wow.
I love his work. I have a Popo
Yeah.
Skandar pride of place in my living room wall. I have a Puttu Sutta Vijaya, whose work I love.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not one, Basuki Abdullah. And,
Yeah.
you know, Poonam, if I can just send you two paintings and if we can just talk very briefly about them, if you can screen share them, because I don't know how to do that. I'll just send you two paintings very quickly and I'll just tell you about them. See, they're right here they are. If you can just show them and I will tell you. I mean, these are both amazing paintings.
Yeah, just a minute. I just downloaded.
Yeah, take your time. It has been a very, very interesting and intriguing discussion, especially that the two of you have been living in Indonesia for so many years. So you have a lot to share with us about your experiences, about your stories living in Indonesia and working with Indonesian people and communities, and how I would say for Arti, how it shapes the way you are creating your arts in the past few years as well. And as for Poonam, I think you've done a lot of amazing works with the Indo-Indians, and we are so looking forward to working with you and your team for the bazaar and event mid-September. And did I miss the color run this year, or are you going to have another color run this year? Or
Maybe next year. Maybe
next year.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks interesting. I think I saw some of my friends join the color run. I mean, like I did join that when I was in the Philippines a few years ago, but then here I never joined because again, when you're here, sometimes you're just too lazy and then you get too comfortable staying at home, and then like, you know, but seeing these people, you know, colorful t-shirts and hairs and everything from the event, it's interesting experience, I would say.
Yeah,
you know, so
definitely.
yeah, next time I
So
don't want to miss that one.
If you
And
have a minute, I'll share Aarti.
Poonam, if I may, next color run, put some Bollywood music on as well, very loud.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
It was there.
Oh wow.
So this is Basuki Abdullah.
Yeah.
It's called Fight. Wait, I'll just tell you the name of this painting. It is called the
He's one
Fight
of his,
between Ravana and Jatayu.
yeah, it's one of his famous art pieces.
It's amazing. Now it's again a mix of India and Indonesia.
Yeah.
So to me, it's one of the prime examples of the two countries' very close cultural ties.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the next painting is more contemporary. This is Afandi.
Yeah.
And you look, there's little Gandhi in his palm.
Yeah. Yep. And Samar, the character.
Yes, and the Samar.
Yeah.
And it is called the Wisdom of East.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, these are two paintings which, I mean, two of my favorite paintings. Very powerful, with powerful messages.
Yeah.
And they have named him. I mean, Afandi named it Wisdom of the East, which is telling you that East is where we all need to look at now.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you for sharing those two beautiful pieces. But of course, you know, those two are the depiction of how long and how far Indonesia and India have these sort of shared histories together for hundreds of years. And by having you two here, it's also a testament for us that there is nothing impossible for us to sort of strengthen and build more bridges between the Indonesian and Indian communities. and arts and people to get together and create something beautiful. And probably one last question for Poonam, like apart from facilitating the Indian artists in one of your events, what else the Indo-Indian community is doing in Indonesia that you think is very crucial as part of the cultural diplomacy?
So, as we mentioned, that Indo-Indians is a not-for-profit organization. However, we do things for supporting other people. For example, this bazaar, we are the ticket sales go towards funding limbs for the limbless.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is one thing that we do. Even our last bazaar, the sales from the ticket sales, the profits went towards limbs for the limbless. So we are doing purpose. The purpose. There's a purpose-driven event. So the event is not merely for just people coming and having a day of fun, which is a great purpose, but it's also to give back. So we are also into giving back. There's a lot of thought behind everything that we do. So it's all about, giving back to people through information, through education, and also through kind.
Interesting. And there is this one question from one of the audience. I would like to read it for you. Like, have you ever organized or conduct a Indian cooking class to introduce the Indian food to the Indonesian communities, and how was the reception of the people here?
So, we have organized cooking classes, but I do not think many Indonesians came to that class. However, it's a very good idea, and we will be doing more of these cooking sessions, which will be open to a much larger audience.
Interesting. So I hope
we did a lot of online cooking shows during COVID, and I think even Aarti shared her famous chocolate cake.
Yeah, please.
No, I can tell you, all I cook when I'm in Jakarta is Indian food for my Indonesian friends. Palak paneer is a hot favorite.
Yeah, my favorite.
All my Indonesian friends want me to make palak paneer for them, which is actually a surprising choice because I thought tofu being a popular food, paneer would not be. Ricotta cheese is not cottage cheese is not going to be the food of choice.
Yeah.
But I am, so informally, Poonam does the formal cooking classes. Informally, I'm cooking Indian all the time for my Indonesian friends.
And they liked it.
They love it.
They loved it. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. It's always my sort of one of go-to food whenever I'm going to other countries, because it's to me, the taste is quite similar to what I'm familiar with back home.
So
in
you can also, there are over 40 Indian restaurants in Jakarta. So you are spoiled for choice. So don't worry, if you're looking for Indian food, there are umpteen number of choices in Jakarta and all over Indonesia. And you also have the cloud kitchens, Indian cloud kitchens, which serve you Indian food. So just go to GoFood and you'll find a number of choices.
Yeah. And last but not least, talking about the Indian food in Jakarta, do you have like top 5 recommendation for us to go to, like at least to get the taste of Indian food, or the best of that in the city, Poonam?
Sure. I would go with my favorite, which is Ganesha. I would go to Ganesha, which gives a very nice North Indian cuisine. And their quality is very good, very consistent. If you want to try something more suitable to the local taste, then you can go to Queen's Tandoor, which is in Tamrin,
I've been
Plaza
there.
Tamrin. Which is very good. Very consistent, and they come up with some very innovative dishes. So that's the place to go. If you want to go to other places, you could go to, there is Royal Kitchen. There's Royal Kitchen in Mecca Kuningan. You could go to Deep Bollywood in Pasar Festival. So that's already 4 of them, right? Right.
Yeah, of course.
And if you want, you can try typical South Indian fare at Udupi in Kamayoran.
Ah, Udupi.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so there's a whole lot of. Then there's another one called Indian Flame in Baleza. So there are, means at the top of my head, I can, already tell you 5, 6 of these places.
Yeah.
But if you go food, you will not be disappointed.
Interesting. All right. Well, again, Arti and Poonam, it's been a very interesting and insightful discussion that we have this afternoon, and to have you with us as the first people out of the Southeast Asian region. And because we are trying to expand our outreach, as I was attending the briefing by the Secretary General of ASEAN yesterday, that the ASEAN community is trying to expand its reach to include some of the 11 big countries around the world, including India. So again, we are looking forward to having more collaboration and to organizing events with you in the future. And then, of course, we'll be very, very happy, and we're looking forward to attending the Indo-Indian Bazaars in September, right? On September
15.
the 15th
15.
in
Hotel Westin.
right, exactly. Yeah. So as you shared earlier, so for those of you who are living in Jakarta, please don't miss this beautiful event in September, to be exact, on September 15th in Jakarta. You will see a lot of Indian people. If you want to get to know them, if you want, to ask questions about Indian food, Bollywood movies, whatever, the culture, the cities in India, or where to go when you're traveling in India. So I think we have pretty much everything in the bazaars, correct, Poonam? From food
Not
and
only the bazaar, we also have a food court, and if all of this information is also available on our website, indoindians.com.
Perfect. Perfect. Beautiful. All right. Well, again, Arti Gidwani and Poonam Sogar, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
in our special session of this month's Viewpoint panel discussion. And we thank you, our audience from Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, all over Southeast Asia and beyond, and even India, and sometimes people coming from some parts of Europe because they are interested and curious about what's happening in Southeast Asia. So thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again next month in different viewpoint, different speakers and topic. Again, have a good evening in New Delhi for Arti and Jakarta for Poonam. And then I'm Muhammad Reza from Seasia Academy. Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.